Lord, and the firstfruits of his increase. All that devour him shall offend, evil shall come upon them, saith the Lord. Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob, and all the families of the house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, What iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are gone far from me, and have walked after vanity, and are become vain? Neither said they, Where is the Lord that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, that led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and of pits, through a land of drought and of the shadow of death, through a land that no man passed through, and where no man dwelt? And I brought you into a plentiful country, to eat the fruit thereof and the goodness thereof. But when ye entered, ye defiled my land, and made mine heritage an abomination. The priests said not, Where is the Lord? And they that handled the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walked after things that do not profit. Wherefore I will yet plead with you, saith the Lord, and with your children's children will I plead. For pass over the isles of Chittim, and see, and send unto Kedar, and consider diligently, and see if there be such a thing. Hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, saith the Lord. For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Is Israel a servant? Is he a home-born slave? Why is he spoiled? The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they made his land waste. His cities are burned without inhabitant. Also the children of Noph and Tahpanhes have broken the crown of thy head. Hast thou not procured this unto thyself, in that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God, when he led thee by the way? And now what hast thou to do in the way of Egypt, to drink the waters of Sihor? Or what hast thou to do in the way of Assyria, to drink the waters of the river? Thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backslidings shall reprove thee. Know therefore and see that it is an evil thing and bitter that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God, and that my fear is not in thee, saith the Lord God of hosts. For of old time I have broken thy yoke, and burst thy bands, and thou saidst, I will not transgress, when upon every high hill and under every green tree thou wanderest, playing the harlot. Yet I had planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? For though thou wash thee with nitre, and take thee much soap, yet thine iniquity is marked before me, saith the Lord God. How canst thou say, I am not polluted? I have not gone after Balaam. See thy way in the valley, know what thou hast done. Thou art a swift dromedary, traversing her ways. A wild ass used to the wilderness, that snuffeth up the wind at her pleasure. In her occasion who can turn her away? All they that seek her will not weary themselves. In her month they shall find her. Withhold thy foot from being unshod, and thy throat from thirst. But thou saidst, There is no hope, no, for I have loved strangers, and after them will I go. As the thief is ashamed when he is found, so is the house of Israel ashamed. They, their kings, their princes, and their priests, and their prophets, saying to a stock, Thou art my father, and to a stone, Thou hast brought me forth. For they have turned their back unto me, and not their face. But in the time of their trouble they will say, Arise, and save us. But where are thy gods that thou hast made thee? Let them arise, if they can save thee in the time of thy trouble. For according to the number of thy cities are thy gods, O Judah. Wherefore will ye plead with me? Ye all have transgressed against me, saith the Lord. In vain have I smitten your children. They received no correction. Your own sword hath devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. O generation, see ye the word of the Lord. Have I been a wilderness unto Israel, a land of darkness? Wherefore say my people, We are lords, we will come no more unto thee. Can a maid forget her ornaments, or a bride her attire? Yet my people have forgotten me days without number. Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. Also in thy skirts is found the blood of the souls of the poor innocents. I have not found it by secret search, but upon all these. Yet thou sayest, Because I am innocent, surely his anger shall turn from me. Behold, I will plead with thee, because thou sayest, I have not sinned. Why gaddest thou about so much to change thy way? Thou also shalt be ashamed of Egypt, as thou wast ashamed of Assyria. Yea, thou shalt go forth from him, and thine hands upon thine head. For the Lord hath rejected thy confidences, and thou shalt not prosper in them.
This word right here, gaddest, that means to walk about, ramble idly without a fixed. And God's saying, you want to know why you're floundering? It's because of this right here. For according to the number of thy cities are thy gods, O Judah. And it's little g because he's not included himself in that. Judah's cities had a different god for each city, or at least they worshiped so many gods that it was equal to the number of cities that they had. And that's why they're wandering around without any purpose, because they don't have their focus on God. And the least effective person is a person who has no focus. If you want to be effective at anything, you need to focus. Now, when you're a master at something, you can have your attention drawn by other things and almost do what needs to be done automatonly. It's not quite automatically because that's one thing, but automatically means you're like a robot. Robotically, you're just running the subroutine. At 5 o'clock we do this. At 5:05 we do this. 5:10 we do this. At 5:30 we do this. At 6 o'clock we go home. And when you've been a Christian for a long time, that tends to. But you've got so many things going on. You're the Sunday school director. You're the bus captain. You're a Sunday school teacher. You're a deacon. Got all those things going on. Worship has become robotic. I'm going to say that because automatonly takes too much time for me. Robotically. But automaton is a better explanation. That is not just robotically, but it looks like to other people that you're genuinely what's supposed to, but in your mind, subroutine. I've been there. I know that feeling of, and really, for me, what it was okay. I'm a bus captain, and that's where my heart was being a bus captain. Absolutely, full stop. Bus captain was that was it for me. But I was also a Sunday school for 5-year-olds, and God bless that 5-year-old Sunday school. That was so much fun. but I was also a member of the church's clown troupe, and I was also singing in the choir. And so worship time became robotic. I would be there and I would listen to the preaching, but my heart was, I am so exhausted. I can't wait for this to be done. Get the kids home so that I can get home myself. Then I'd sleep for 2 hours and get ready for, because we got home around 2 o'clock. We got back from dropping off all the kids on the bus. 2 o'clock. Get to get home, get to sleep by 3, wake up by 5, get back to church at 6, so that I could be at choir practice. It's been 30 years since then, and I still remember it. I remember the routine. Now, my heart's desire was to be where God wanted me. So I don't see it as wasted time, but I see it as time that I don't know. I that that roboticness, it was hard to shake it. And I don't think I really shook it until I went to Washington, and it took 9 years. Washington, well, no, it took 7 years. Washington to find a good church, and there, because I remembered the automaton. Hey, I said it without hindrance that time, but I focused on what God had called me to. And when the pastor would approach me with, "Hey, do you want to do this extra thing?" If it was something that God called me to, I'd be like, "Yes, let's get it done." God would bless incredibly. But if it was something that God didn't call me to at that point, I would say no. And the pastor was like, he was taken back that somebody would tell him no for ministry. When the pastor approached me for soul winning, I was like, yes, absolutely. Let's go soul. The pastor then approached me to head up a Sunday school class. Well, God had not called me to be a Sunday school teacher at that church. So I said, "Pastor, you're going to have to find someone else. God is not calling me to that." And he was taken back, like, "Well, who am I going to find?" I said, "I don't know. Pray for laborers as God told us to." And sure enough, God did provide the laborers. It was it was a couple who were trying hard, so hard to have a child and couldn't. But God blessed them with teaching Sunday school and absolutely got their minds focused. And God blessed that Sunday school class so much. And God blessed them. I think that Sunday school was what they needed to learn how to be parents. Because God blessed them with, after that point, I think 6 kids. I could be wrong on that count, but I think that's what it was. I'll have to look up their names just to see what's happened to them. That's one thing about Grok is that it can find out about anything. But they're now in their uh, late 40s, early 50s. Their kids are now grown, and they probably have grandkids. But then the pastor approached me about this other program, which was following up when people visited the church. And it was a very simple program. When somebody new came to the church, I'd go over and introduce myself, say, "Hi, I'm Ern Miller. I'm so glad you're here. If there's anything you need, let me know. Let me show you after the service. I'll show you around the church so you know what's going on." And while I'm showing them around, I'm asking them questions. So, where do you live? And what are your interests in besides obviously church? And I would find somebody in our church that was of a like mind. They did the same things, they had the same thought, all that kind of stuff. If it was a young couple, I'd get them in touch with the couple that I just told you about. If they were elderly, I'd get them in touch with the elderly guy. And God blessed that. Our church congregation went from 40 people to 100 people. Now, all that program was the church provided the cookie dough and and the milk. And what was required is that the person I matched him up with on Saturday would make a batch of Toll House cookies and take the milk and plastic cups over. And we even had them do it on a silver platter, so kind of cool. And we go over there, knock on the door, say, "Hey, so and so, we just want to let you know we're grateful we were in church. You came to visit our church on Sunday. Um, we'd like to invite you back." And they'd be like, "Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you." And then the person will go, "Hey, I brought some milk and cookies. You mind if we sit and talk and see what your interests are?" Now there were some times when they go, that's okay. I'm kind of busy." Go, "Okay, but here, have the milk and cookies. It's our gift to you." They wouldn't give them the silver platter, and but many times they'd invite him in. They'd sit down and just talk about what's your theology, what are the things you wanted to get out of church, and they would tell about the programs of our church that met those needs. And God blessed our church multiplicity. Now on my end, I was keeping track like I was a database. I was keeping track of who was born when, who was so and so, and every once in a while I'd call them up and say, "Hey, I was so glad to see you," because it made them feel that our church really saw them as a real person, and we were there to meet their needs. And God can use you in the same manner. You just say, "Lord, what is it that you want me to do? I will do." You just go out and do it. All right. Well, that's it for today. I'm so grateful that you're here. I hate saying goodbye to everyone. It is the highlight of my morning. It's the highlight of my day, really, except for church.